Well, this has been a long time in coming. I seriously haven't uploaded here on YouTube for quite some considerable amount of time. It's been, in fact, nearly 3 years to the day, less than a week away to the day that I last pressed that upload button and made any sort of quality content here on YouTube. The last time I was here, I covered Harry Gordon Selfridge's grave back on January the 3rd, 2023, and we are currently on the 28th of December, 2025, literally knocking on the door to 2026. And man, I just feel like I need to pick up the camera again and start filming in the new year. Although the content that I'm going to be doing is going to be slightly different. Don't get me wrong, I love making filming location videos, covering famous graves of celebrities or historians or people that changed the world in some way or another. I just love the backstories, the history of it. But the reason why I stopped 3 years ago was because of the workload, how long it took to make, the research, the editing, the traveling, and the impact that it had on my family. I have 2 kids at the time. They're obviously a lot younger than what they are now. And I've got older and grayer since that time back in 2023. But I have to do things differently this time around if I'm going to continue making videos here on YouTube, which is what I really want to do. Now, you're probably all wondering why now? Why have you suddenly come back now here on YouTube to pick up the camera again? Well, I will be explaining that in a minute, and there's a really massive reason to why that is, and it's affected my Christmas, and it's affected many people all over the world, to the reason behind why I personally want to start filming again. Whether it turns out okay, whether it's going to work out, or whether it's going to be any good, whether you guys will tune in and watch is another thing. But I can't continue down the path I was on before, even though, like I said, I enjoyed making those videos. I just don't have the time to do that much input into a video and edit things the way that I had been editing them, because there's just not enough hours in the day to do that, and it could affect my family life, and that is the most important thing at the end of the day. Even though I love vlogging, I love YouTubing so much, I got to put my family first, and that's what I did 3 years ago. But what I'm going to do differently this time around is the editing will be toned down a little bit. It's going to be a little bit more of randomness that I'm going to be filming. Still going to be going out, doing adventures, covering many different places, seeing many different wonderful things, meeting different wonderful people, but there's going to be less sort of factual knowledge behind things, like in-depth research like I have done before, which is what took up the time. Unless you're single and you live on your own, or you do this as a full-time job, which is very hard to do when you're starting off from the beginning. It takes a long time to be able to get to that stage where you can be self-sufficient and go out and do it on your own without having to work alongside it. But if you have a family too, it makes it even that extra bit harder, which is what I have. And I know a lot of YouTubers, a lot of vloggers that do what I love to do tend to be single, or they have a girlfriend, but they have no children. Not many have children that I know of. I mean, some do, don't get me wrong. There are vloggers out there on YouTube that have families, and they have a very good balance between the two, but they probably do YouTube as a full-time job, whereas I don't. I also work 5 days a week, and it's, for my own personal reasons, it's unmanageable. I can't do it. But we're getting off track. So what am I going to be covering in the new year? What am I going to be filming? Well, what I love to do is I love to go out walking. And what I'm going to do is bring you with me on every walk that I do. And I'm not talking like a trip down to the local shops or anything like that. I'm talking walks that consist of 10 to 15 miles, possibly more, depending on how I do. I've already been out walking quite a bit recently anyway. I'm going out for a planned walk in a couple of days just to see how I get on. And I'm going to be doing God knows how many miles, but there's going to be a considerable amount of miles done on that day. But I won't be filming that. It's going to be like just to see how I get on, see how my body copes with it, and then we're going to go from there. But into the new year, I'm thinking about bringing that here with you guys here on YouTube, covering every aspect of it, where I'm going to be going out, seeing some wonderful sights. There's going to be a few historical things along the way that I'm going to be covering, meeting people along the way, going to a pub for a pint, getting up to all sorts of adventures on the walk itself. There's going to be a lot of great things, a lot of bad things, weather, conditions, mud, hills, you name it, gates, fence posts, animals. There's going to be graves. I will probably visit some graves. But it's just everything between the start and the finish of the walk. You just don't know what's going to come up. You don't know what's going to happen. And I'm gonna vlog it all. And hopefully you guys will be interested in seeing that. Where I live in the UK, there's loads to cover, loads to see, loads of beautiful places to visit. And I will venture out a bit further as well and do walks further afield. But I just wanted to see how you felt about that, how you thought about that as an idea into the new year, something that I can do. Not only am I going to get benefit out of it myself by getting fit and healthy, but also I can do the other passion that I love to do, and that is film for YouTube here, you know, on this platform that you're currently watching me on right now. That is YouTube. But I kid you not, it's going to be such an adventure. It's going to be so random. From one video to the next, it's going to be completely different. I mean, every walk that I do will not be the same from the previous one. It's going to be, and I've been on walks before and I wish I had filmed it. I've got stuck in the mud up to my knees. I've slipped over, I've fallen in a river. I've nearly got chased by a cow, a bull. Yeah, and I'm going to be visiting towns and places. There's going to be a lot of historical things in there. And it's just going to be natural. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to make videos that are natural, not things that I have to pre-plan and, yeah, just sort of research and then edit and add music and add overlays and then read off scripts about people's lives and things like that. That just all got too much for me. Not to say that I won't ever do it again, because there will be times where I feel like doing those videos again and I will go out and do a random grave here and there. It's not to say they're going to be completely gone. No. But for the moment, we're going to see how we get on with this current plan that I have in motion, and hopefully you guys will be excited to watch. Now, why am I back? Why am I here? Why have I picked up the camera again for 2026? Well, this Christmas has been quite a sad Christmas. For anybody that has filmed on YouTube, who is a vlogger, will have known the YouTuber Adam the Woo. I didn't know him personally, although I've commented on a few of his videos over the years and he's replied and we've had a little discussion from time to time, but I've never personally met him. But even though he never met me, I feel like I knew him really well from watching every video that he uploaded. And I've been following him for nearly 12 to 13 years, all the way back to when he was going to abandoned places, before he started doing the daily vlogs, the daily woo. All before all of that, I was following him because I loved abandoned places. I loved all the adventures that he got up to, and he got into some serious trouble back in the day. That's why he's been banned from a few places and still is, like lifetime bans, which at the moment people are trying to sort of lift, you know, get the ban lifted, even though he's, you know, passed away, which I haven't covered yet. I haven't actually mentioned that yet. I was building up to that, and when you say it, it suddenly becomes real. That someone who got me into YouTubing, into vlogging, is no longer here. I didn't think it would hit me this much because I didn't know him personally, but I was watching his videos every day, and days that I couldn't, I binge watched 3 or 4 in one go because I was behind. But I always made sure I kept up to date, no matter when it was. And he'd been ending the year on an international adventure in Italy, France. He went up the Matterhorn, which is something he always wanted to do. He went to Rome, the Colosseum. He went to France and Disneyland Paris, which is where he ended his international travels. And the fact that that was like just over a week ago, 2 weeks ago when he left Europe, probably less than that, it's sort of dawns on you how recent it all is, and waking up every day and not being able to check in to see what he's been doing, where he's gone, and what randomness he comes across. And every video is different. Some videos are just him walking around, especially Celebration, which is where he ended up buying a home, and looking at Christmas lights, going for a coffee, or just generally having a chat, or going on these adventures. And I know in 2026, he had a lot planned. He was going to take a break from international travels because he'd done so much this year. England, France, Italy, he even went to South Korea. He's been all over. But yeah, he went to Belize. I think he went to Belize at the beginning of the year, if I remember correctly. It's just like things like that. It's just what he's crammed in to his life is unbelievable. He's done more in his short life than people do in an entire full life. And that just goes to show you how much he tried to grasp life and get as much out of it as possible. And that, I think, is why it's hit us so hard, because he's gone so young, at 51 years old. And it's just one of those deaths that completely rocks you to the core, completely makes you stop, look around and think, nah, it can't be real. He'll be there tomorrow. He'll upload. But no. Every day from here on in, for anybody that tuned into him regularly, is going to be left with a gaping, dark hole, which he filled with love and joy and passion. He built mountains, and that's what Tampa Jay said. He built mountains, and he climbed those mountains, and he took people with him, and he supported people, and he was there for people, and he loved people. Even though he suffered from anxiety and how to deal with strangers, he didn't know what to say to people. I'm much like that too. I'm not good in environments where I don't know anyone. I go in my shell, I go quiet. And I think that's somehow how I related to him, because I'm very good at expressing myself through a camera, but in the real world, I'm a completely different person. I'm very quiet. I don't like being around certain people that I find uncomfortable to be around because of my own. You know, I need to know people. I need to be relaxed around people before I can come out my shell. Whereas doing videos like this, I feel like I can express and relax a lot more. But not only that, Adam the Woo covered videos that I loved. He went to filming locations and he would line up screenshots from the films back then when they were released, when they were filmed, to now and what they look like now. And I loved things like that. And that's what started me doing it. Doing filming locations like I did the British Empire. But yeah, I wanted to do more filming locations when I was here on YouTube, but I don't have many filming locations where I live. And for me to be able to hunt them down and find them would mean me traveling around the UK, if not international. And I couldn't do that with a family. I couldn't afford it. I had to work, and I could only go as far as like a 80 to 100 mile radius from where I live, realistically. And there just wasn't enough filming locations. Like I said, even though I covered the British Empire filming location, and I went down to Worth Matravers to cover Andor, Star Wars, where that was filmed, there wasn't a plentiful of things to cover. But what there was graves. There was a lot of famous graves around my area that I covered, like Benny Hill, and you had Uncle Albert from Only Fools and Horses, Buster Merrifield, and then a few other celebrities here and there. And then I went further afield to Ian Fleming's grave, and George Martin, the producer, music producer of the Beatles. I went to cover all those graves, and that's where it all started. The reason why I did those videos, those graves, the filming locations 3 years ago, was because of Adam the Woo. And I'm not the only one to say that. I think you'll find that most YouTubers, most vloggers that do daily vlogging or cover their adventures here on YouTube would have started and been inspired by Adam the Woo. And I think that is why it's hit so many people so much, like it's hit me. Like I said, I didn't know him personally, but I did have communication with him over messages on YouTube about different things. And I just wished maybe I kept going with the YouTube 3 years ago, and maybe I would have met him. Maybe I would have built an audience here on YouTube over the last 3 years. I was growing quite rapidly, and then I just stopped. And I feel like if I kept going, then maybe I could have had that chance to visit him in America and meet him. And now I'm never going to have that chance. I'm never going to meet him. And the gut-wrenching thing about it all was that the job that I do, I work in transportation, and the day he vlogged in London, obviously he's always a day behind. He's always a day behind. So the day I saw him vlogging in London, I realised I was in London that same day. Even though I was watching it the next day, I didn't realise he was in London because he was very private. He didn't really like to tell people where he was going, what he was doing. Because obviously that's why the videos are a day behind. And where he was in London, I was right around the corner doing a delivery. And if I'd known he was there, that one moment in time where we were literally less than a mile away from each other breaks my heart. Because if I knew he was there, I would have gone and said hello. I would have told him I was a YouTuber. I would have told him I was a film fanatic. I love my horror films. I love Back to the Future. I've got my Back to the Future, the musical, drink here. I'm an artist. You can see up there. I've got Back to the Future and Goonies posters there. You know, I've got so much in common with him. Films, filming locations, celebrities, graves, and just general randomness. And the fact that we communicate through YouTube, and I can relate to that in terms of having that anxiety. And I sort of looked up to him. I definitely looked up to him. And I can't get over it now. And I'm watching his old videos. I'm watching other people on YouTube. The Carpetbagger, Tampa J, and many, many others that were friends. Scott on Tape, Justin Scard. All those YouTubers that were very close to him. And I'm talking like best friends. And you also had Daz with Jordan the Lion. And obviously Mike, the German in Venice, who was the guy on the 22nd of December, was the man who called the authorities to say there was some issue at Adam the Woo's property. He was not there, and there was concern that something terrible possibly had happened, and obviously turned out that this was the case. I didn't find out until 2 days later. I was busy at work. It was the tail end before the breakup for Christmas, and I backlogged 2 or 3 videos. I think the last video I watched was when he just got back to Florida from France, and he was setting up his Christmas decorations out the front of his home in celebration. And I had a couple more videos to catch up on, and it was all over social media, Facebook, YouTube, and I'm like, what? And that last video that he made with the Grinch, Orlando Grinch, I'm so glad that he ended on a high. It was so funny. It was warming to watch. I mean, I don't know if Adam the Woo had any other videos from the next day saved on his phone. I don't know, because obviously he was always a day behind. And the vlog that he uploaded was recorded on a Saturday, which was with the Orlando Grinch, and he passed away on the Monday. So we don't know. Personally, I'd like to just end it as it is. I think that video was brilliant. With the Orlando Grinch, the humour, the Christmas element. He was laughing, he was happy. That's how I want to remember Adam the Woo. I don't want to see really another vlog of him, which the day before he passed away. And I mean, a lot of us want to see it, but I feel like deep down maybe we should just leave it as it is. leave it with the memories that we have and the catalogue of videos that we've got to remember and buy. But the day of the 22nd of December, like I said, German in Venice was due to meet Adam the Woo, to go on some adventures with him, to hang out with him, to do a couple of vlogs. He was going to stay over. There was no answer at the door. He even filmed himself. He started his vlog in the centre of celebration, then went to Adam's place, rang the doorbell. There was no answer, so he thought maybe he'd gone to get a coffee, so he went off to check. No, he wasn't anywhere to be seen. Came back, called the authorities, and they did a well-being check. They couldn't enter the property, and obviously they couldn't break in, which I think is shocking, because I think if there's a reason to be concerned about someone's well-being, welfare, then you should be allowed to break in regardless. But they weren't, and they stopped anyone else from doing so. They even had keys. A member of the local area, a lady from the local area in celebration, had keys to Adam's property. I'm not sure how it works over there, but she had access to the property, a set of keys, and even the police told her not to enter because she didn't have permission from the homeowner. So they stopped her from going in, and it was only because another friend of Adam's turned up with a ladder. They accessed the property from looking into the window from the ladder, and they found him unresponsive on the bed, or what looked like he was unresponsive on the bed. And then obviously more authorities arrived and entered. Nothing they could do. Apparently he was pronounced dead at the scene. The coroner was called, and then the rest, yeah. How Mike, German in Venice, coped that day, I don't know, and I don't think he did cope. And I think some of the YouTubers out there have done him proud. People say you shouldn't monetize your videos to cover anything to do with Adam the Woo's death. But the way I look at it is, if you do decide to monetize your video, then use the money and put it towards a good cause, to a charity, or put it towards something that would remember Adam in a good way, like a memorial fund or a celebration of life, which many of the YouTubers out there are planning on doing with their videos that have been monetized. But with being a YouTuber, especially someone who's in the limelight with quite a huge following, like Adam the Woo had, like the Carpetbagger, Mike, German in Venice, Tampa J, Justin Scard, Scott on Tape, yeah, so many that love and adored him. Yeah, I've watched all their videos and they all brought me to tears. Just seeing their whole world fall apart, and also hear about some of the negative comments that they've received as well, which I find shocking. Can't people just be nice, you know? Be nice to each other. And that is why I've started vlogging again, simply because of what Justin Scard said in his video about Adam the Woo. About, it was Adam that said, you gotta seize the moment, you gotta get out there and do it. Just do it. And that's what I want to do. I want to get back into it. I want to start filming again on YouTube, and I want to do it so I do it in a way where benefits me, and I can work it around family life and work. And I love to walk, I love to go on adventures, and I love to do random stuff. Like Adam did, some random videos covering random things along your journey. And that is what I want to do here on my channel going forward. As much as I loved the graves, and as much as I loved the filming locations, which doesn't mean they'll stop completely. I may occasionally go back and do a couple of graves here and there, and also filming locations, but the random stuff is what I would be very keen on doing. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and what you would think would be a good idea to do and how to do it. I've ordered a little air freshener, the Sasquatch, that Adam had in his car. Anyone that followed Adam the Woo knows what I'm on about, and I've ordered 2 so I can have it in my car as a little tribute. So every time I drive anywhere to make a video or go to work even, I can look at that air freshener and just think, what would Adam the Woo do? And I'm not just doing it for him, I'm doing it for myself. But I enjoy making videos, and if I can do it in a way that keeps everybody happy, then it's worth trying. It's worth doing. And I'm sure Adam the Woo has told many of his close friends to just go and do it. Seize the moment. Don't sit back and let life drift past. Because one of his friends did say that what's the point in working full-time in a job you hate and being poor than being on the road, seeing wonderful sights, having adventures, but still being poor? I mean, I think I'd choose the latter. You're going to be poor either way, so you might as well be poor travelling, doing exciting things, fulfilling your dreams, than working a dead-end job and still being in the same situation as what you would be anyway. It's a no-brainer. Anyway, thank you for watching. It's great to chat to you all again, and hopefully 2026 will hold good things. And all I can say is everybody that knew Adam the Woo, his family, his mum and dad, his sister, all his friends, all the YouTubers, my thoughts and prayers are with you and how you're coping at this horrible time. Hopefully we'll see you all back on YouTube soon, doing what you do best, because that's what Adam would want you to do. Never to give up, never to stop, and that is why I want to come back and do it myself, to get back out there and just cover some random stuff and see some great things on my travels, walking around and bringing you hopefully some insight into my life like Adam did into his. But make it original, make it my own. I don't want to copy Adam in any way, but I feel occasionally as a little nod to Adam, and I will always mention his name when doing so, that I want to keep his memory alive. And I feel so many YouTubers will do the same that were very close to him, closer than I ever was or ever could have been, because like I said, I never met him personally, and I wish I had. I wish that day in London when I was around that corner, if I'd have just known. Who knows? Who knows, I might have been able to do a video with him or saved up some money to go over and visit, but we'll just never know now. But all I can do is thank him for what he's done for me and so many others out there. He did so much for so many, and he was never shy to help or to make a video with someone. He was him, and he was always willing to help those around him. And I just wish one day that I could have been there to maybe meet him and do a video with him, and that will never happen now. I will never have that opportunity. And that's what breaks my heart. But life has to go on. So all you can do is do your best and hopefully keep his memory alive. So to that end, in Adam's famous words, vlog over.